A billionaire's daughter finds love as a housekeeper. In the beginning of this movie, we see Ziora Ume, also known as Z. She's the daughter of a billionaire, and so she loves to live a lavish lifestyle. This girl loves expensive things and will always spend her money on luxury any day, anytime. She lives a very extravagant lifestyle. I mean, she loves to spend money like no man's business. After all, how much is money? One morning, Z returns from a party drunk and tired. Suddenly, her clothes vendor calls her asking her for money she's owing. Big, how much is this money, Zef? Because for a big spender like her, it shouldn't be a problem, right? Z picks her phone to make the transfer, but she's shocked to discover she has just 20,000 naira left in her account. She has spent all her money on drinks while at the club. A whole money spender with just 20k. Now, wow. Z wakes from sleep later that day and realizes that she's not dreaming. Now, 20k she really spent for that club. Now, she's in debt of about 450,000 naira. Z is afraid. She doesn't want to be trolled on social media. Everybody knows this social media people get mouths, so it's not a nice place to be trolled. She narrates this wahala to her best friend, Diamond, who tells her that she is left with two options. It's either she calls her billionaire daddy for money or she sells her house. These two options seem like standing between the devil and the deep blue sea. Z can't dare to call her father because he has stopped giving her money because of her poor spending habits. Now she's only left with the option of selling the house. Sakpa don humble billionaire daughter, sote she dey beg for vendor. Not having any option, Z decides to sell the house. So she contracts a house agent to help her sell the house. Or at least, someone that will even rent the place. Z later agrees to put the house on shortlet, and because of her desperation for the money, she agrees to rent it below the original cost. Diamond reminds Z that apart from the 450k, she also has another outstanding debt. At this point, Mama nearly cried. A gleam of hope appears as the agent calls Z, telling her that someone has agreed to rent the house. But the issue here is that it's an urgent matter as the person wants to move in 3 days' time. Now, the next problem is, where is Z going to move to? She can't stay with Diamond because Diamond has a roommate already. So the only option left is to move into the boys' quarters. Z moves her things to the boys' quarters, but she is not happy about the place, as it doesn't fit her usual lifestyle. Sitting there and wondering how she's going to cope with the place, an alert drops into her phone and immediately she begins to scream in excitement. Yes, there's money now. She settles her bill immediately and heads straight to a restaurant with her friend to squander the money. Voila. After 3 days as agreed, the guy that rented the house finally arrives. He is Mr. Owen. Z comes to welcome him warmly, but this guy gives her a demeaning attitude. He shocks Z, no be lie. Owen even orders her to carry his bag. Immediately, Z calls Mr. Balogun, the house agent. Mr. Balogun tells her that if she must stay in the house, she must have to act as the housekeeper. Otherwise, she will refund the money for the rent. Anyway, Z doesn't have any problem refunding anybody. So she mellows down and gingerly carries the bag inside the house. Housekeeper work don't start with that. Mr. Owen orders Z to move out from the boys' quarters into the main building so that he doesn't have to be stressing himself shouting her name. He also orders her to do the house chores before he returns from work. Anyway, after Mr. Owen leaves for work, Z picks up her cleaning tools and begins cleaning the house. When it was time to make dinner, Z, who apparently cannot cook, follows her friend's advice and prepared noodles for a full-grown man to eat after a stressful day at work. Owen doesn't like the noodles Z prepared for him. When he asks her why she made noodles, she replies saying there is no foodstuff in the house, that's why. He leaves the food and heads to his room. Since he won't eat the food, Z tries to eat the food but spits it out in an instant. Even her food be like poison to her. The next morning, before leaving to work, Owen asks Z for the list of items they'll be needing in the house. The girl doesn't even have a clue of what to write on the list. She quickly rushes to her room and her friend helps her get the list ready. She sums everything up and tells Mr. Owen that the total amount is over 400,000 naira. As the movie continues, we see that being a housekeeper no be beans. Z complains to Diamond. This time around, Diamond offers to help her prepare dinner for Mr. Owen. Diamond wears her cooking gloves and is ready to prepare correct jollof for Mr. Owen, while Ajebo Z sits down in the kitchen giving Diamond premium gist. Okay, let's do small amebo here. Z's father had actually sent her abroad to study, but this our pretty lady got expelled. The man then bought her 2 cars, but this babe still ended up selling all of them. She then dropped out of university after squandering her fees. She ran into millions of debts. Her father helped her clear the bills and then gave her $40,000 and the house she's staying in barely a year ago. Now back to the story. That night, Z serves Owen the food Diamond prepared. Immediately he puts the spoon in his mouth. One would have wondered if the meal was prepared by Lot's wife. Too much salt, he screams. That night, Z tries mustering courage to send her father a voice note. Maybe he might just change his mind and consider her. We see that Owen also had a really difficult time during the night. Oga legit spent his night because of the food Z served him. The next morning, as Z enters to clean Mr. Owen's room while he is at work, she lays on her former bed and remembers the good old days. Now, after receiving her shouts from Mr. Owen that evening, Z picks her phone and calls Diamond, complaining bitterly to her. Over the phone, Diamond invites Z for a party, and trust Zena, she is in for it anytime. She goes to take permission from Owen, and he permits her to go. Z doesn't waste any time at all ordering clothes. After all, a billionaire's daughter cannot wear old clothes to a party. Of course. On the day they are going to the party, Diamond shows up in Z's house so she can pick Z for the party. But then things go haywire. Diamond doesn't like the idea that Z had to order new clothes, expensive ones at that, just for a party. When Diamond reprimands her as to why she did so, they both pick a quarrel and Z orders Diamond to leave her house immediately. Now, when Diamond leaves, Z gets devastated and cries as she consumes a bottle of alcohol. Z now regrets what happened between her and her friend, and out of rage, she begins scattering the room. She gets drunk and eventually falls asleep. When Owen returns, he finds everything scattered. Baba begins vex. He orders Z to leave his house immediately as he proceeds to arrange the room. Z doesn't even realize that she forgot her phone in Owen's room, so she just gingerly packs her things and is outside thinking of her next line of action. Owen goes outside to find that Z has already packed her things outside. He gives her phone to her and tells her to come back in. Out of excitement, this girl almost hugs Aoga. After that incident, Z has decided to be more loyal to her job as a housekeeper. She uses YouTube to learn how to prepare better meals and also cleans the house properly. That night, she prepares a meal for Owen and he tastes it. Wow! For the first time in never before, he is impressed with her and she is happy. Z learns to be better at doing her chores. She's doing everything as they ought to be. She keeps impressing Owen with her now improved working proficiency. Owen even comes to her room and apologizes to her after scolding her a while earlier. At this point in the movie, Owen gets to know that Z is extravagant when he hears her arguing with her clothes vendor one early morning. On seeing Owen, Z tries to shut the woman up, make she not too loud, but the woman keeps raising her voice. Eventually, Z walks her out so that they will settle outside. When Z finishes with her client outside, she comes inside and Owen sits her down to give her some sense. He advises her on her level of extravagance and wastefulness. He also advises her on financial management. After Owen's long sermon, she accepts to start saving, and so she asks Owen to help her split her salary in two, one in her main account and the other in her savings account. For the first time, this babe is planning to be financially wise. I really hope this lasts. Z and Owen are now getting comfortable, and he even asks her to join him for dinner. Owen again commends Z's cooking. While they are eating, Owen tries to get to know her more. Z lies to him that she graduated from Convenience University, but refuses to tell him the reason she is working as a housekeeper. She begins to fake a cough to escape further questions. The next morning, after discussing about Owen's career, Owen decides that he's going to get her a better job and asks her to submit her CV. Z does not truly have a certificate since she has never truly graduated from any university. After that day, Z is in her boss's room to clean the place when she starts trying out his perfumes. He comes in to pick something when he sees her trying them, and as they talk, he reveals to her that his birthday is in a week's time. The two are now getting along so well, they even watch movies and dance together. Even as Z prepares a meal, he joins her in the kitchen and even helps her to do some chores. She's surprised. It's like this man has worked as a chef before because he's so good in the kitchen. Emotions are already bubbling Owen a romantic look. He almost kisses her. The next day, Owen returns from work with pizza he bought for Z. She's so excited because since she started her financial management, she has apparently taken pizza off her diet. In the process of getting Owen to have some of the pizza, it mistakenly stains his mouth, and boy, these two are already having some chemistry class in session. Later that night, Owen walks into her room without even knocking. He claims his hands are dry and he needs lotion. Z gives him the lotion and opts to apply it for him. As she applies it, she notices the way he looks at her. She gives him a kiss, and then they share a love moment. Aww, Oga Owen. It's finally Owen's birthday. We see Z setting the table to surprise Owen when he gets back from work. As she's doing so, Owen's ex, Jessica, also has her own plans as she comes into the house with lots of gifts for Owen. Jessica is a talkative. She keeps wagging her tongue about her boyfriend Owen. Jessica seems to recognize Z, but at the moment, she can't remember where she knows her from. When Owen gets back from work and sees the place well decorated, he thinks it must have been Z, but he's shocked as Jessica pulls up from behind. Jessica has even gotten him an expensive gift, but Owen refuses to accept it. He detests extravagance. After speaking curtly with Jessica, he gets up and goes in to find Z, while Jessica packs her gifts and leaves the house. Z is sitting sadly in her room when Owen comes in to explain everything to her. He tells her he has nothing to do with Jessica because they've ended things a long time ago. Owen opens up to her that he couldn't continue with Jessica because of her extravagant lifestyle. He doesn't know that he's speaking to the minister of extravagance. The next morning, Owen tells Z that the CV she sent for the job application was empty. Now Z realizes she has messed up big time and needs to find a way to fix this. How is she going to let Owen know the truth? Now, during lunch break that afternoon, Owen and Z are having a good time when suddenly Jessica shows up and decides she's going to put sand in Z's Gary. This young woman came with a powerful agenda. She exposes who Ziora truly is and how she became broke and poor. Z picks her bag and leaves immediately. On getting home, Owen is so pissed. He yells at her seriously and goes into his room. Z follows him and he shuts her out. She begs him to let her in, but no way. So she starts explaining how the whole thing started. She had an addiction to spending money, even to the extent of selling her things, wasting her school fees, and even collecting loans just to meet up with her kind of lifestyle. While she does that, Owen just sits and listens behind the door. Since they had the quarrel, Owen has refused to talk to Z. So one day, Z decides she's going to barge into his room to meet with him to at least discuss things. On entering the room, she discovers that Owen is already gone. She breaks down in tears. Her friend, Diamond, comes to the house to console her friend. Aside the fact that Owen is gone, Z is also sad that she doesn't have a job anymore. Well, her friend tells her she's going to help her get a job by putting in a word for her at the office. In his office, we see Owen discussing with his friend. Owen has apparently been given a permanent contract and will have to stay in Lagos permanently. Owen contacts Mr. Balogun, the house agent, asking him if Z still wants to sell the house, but apparently Z has changed her mind. Z now runs a serviced apartment. She's on a call with her agent who tells her that the person that wants the apartment is outside. Z goes out and finds Owen. They've missed each other so much. Owen has moved back into the house, but we see Z bothered. She has sent her father a text, which he hasn't replied yet, and they are talking. A call comes in from her dad, and she gets excited. So, wait, who's now the boss? Z is the boss.